So Ed, can you tell us where we are?
This is Clayhidon Nature Reserve in the Blackdown Hills in the mid-Devon on the Somerset border.
And what exactly has Biffa Award allowed us Devon Wildlife Trust to do here?
The Biffa Award that we've had on this site has been brilliant. We've been looking at managing this site for a few years, and what this really needed is quite a focused management regime, and the main driver of that was going to be bring grazing stock back onto the site. And we were missing a fence, so it's been brilliant that we've been able to put in about 2 kilometres of fence, as well as do scrub clearance that's occurred since grazing has lapsed.
So if I'd have come here 3-4 years ago, what would it look like then?
There would have been tussocks that would be very high. You wouldn't have seen as much of this heather that you can see regenerating in the background, and there'll be a lot more bracken, because they also bought us quite a clever machine that will cope with some of the slopes you can see behind me, so I can manage the bracken on that slope for the violets that would hopefully support the small pearl-bordered fritillary.
And I can see that it's good for some butterflies and perhaps good for people for access, but what other wildlife has benefited?
The other wildlife that we will benefit from this kind of management is things like the snakes and the lizards that you get on this site. Just as we walked over here, we got that glimpse of the adders, so that's brilliant. But I've seen grass snakes this year as well. And there are quite a lot of small plants that are going to really benefit. The heathers are going to regenerate, and on this kind of habitat you get some quite interesting insectivorous plants such as the pale butterwort and drosseras, the sundews, and they're small plants, so they need access to exposed ground and sunlight to get going.
So if I were to come back in another 4 or 5 years, what would look different about this site?
In another 4 or 5 years, after more grazing on the site will be much more open. A lot of these tussocks will have been reduced. There'll be a lot more bog asphodel, nice yellow bog plants, cotton grass, the sort of tufted white grasses that you get. And hopefully there'll be a lot more butterflies flying, and it'll be much more interesting and better for wildlife.
Ed, thank you, and thanks to Biffa Award.
Thank you, Biffa.